Welcome, everybody, to the Stone Down Sports Podcast. My name is Matt. Really happy to be here with you today. We've got a great show or live stream set up for you. Want to give a big shout out to all our subscribers and everybody who checks out the product we put out there. We do the best we can, and we're proud of it to a degree, but we're always looking to improve. Um, Sometimes that improvement goes a little bit slower than we'd anticipate, but you know what? We're doing all right. As always, I'm joined here by Rybaxel, Kyle, and Ramey. Ramey, for the second week in a row, we are talking about a catastrophic injury. And this one was particularly gruesome, to say the
Yeah,
least.
that sucked. Like Nick Chubb is just a guy that does everything right. He got paid to an extent for a running back. He's just had productive years, year in and year out. And you thought he was going to have a great year this year. And to see that injury, it just kind of, I, I can't say anything other than the fact that it sucked. Like I think Nick Chubb does everything that he should do as a running back. And granted, there's the argument of running backs whether or not they get paid and things like that, but Nick Chubb just goes about his business and really just is a producer, and you hate to see that injury. He had it in college. um, it may not be the exact same injury, but it looked gruesome, and I know ESPN chose not to replay it, but the internet is the internet, and you were able to find it. I know we shared it with each other. It was a disgusting injury, and it sucks for him. It sucks for Browns fans. It really sucks for Deshaun Watson because he did not look good at all last night. And they're going to rely on him much, much more as the year goes on with Chubb out. I know they've got some backups and things like that. They had Kareem Hunt in today. But Deshaun Watson does not look like the Deshaun Watson pre issues, I'll say. And he just looks a little lost out there. It's really disconcerting, especially if you're a Browns fan who had a team that just committed $232 million guaranteed to him, and you really can't get out of that deal until 2026. So, Kyle, I know we all chatted last night. I'd love to hear your thoughts as well.
Yeah, Deshaun he's a shell of a player that he was in 2020. I guess you shouldn't even call him Deshaun Watson. You just call him the $230 million quarterback. That's his name from now on.
Yeah.
Doesn't look good. There were some flashes, but Chubb owners, obviously, what are you going to do? Best options to put definitely a waiver claim. There's a bunch of good waiver ads this week that we're going to recommend, starting with Jerome Ford there with the Browns. Like you mentioned, he's option to, he's going to be the number one guy there until something changes. And what are you guys laughing at?
Because I waived, because I put in a claim for him until they trade for Jonathan Taylor. Jerome Ford is who I'm going to run with. Although I did get a very interesting trade request last night at about 9:30 p.m. with I was offered Nick Chubb late at night.
So, really?
Post injury?
Yeah,
that makes sense. This is a redraft league too, so it's it makes total not sense at all. But
it's not the first time I've been offered a Chubb that late at night, but it is certainly the most recent. So, and like the other ones, I declined.
Yeah, I don't like when stuff like that happens. Trying to trade somebody that you know is injured and just kind of trapping somebody unsuspectingly. Like, that's a dick move. We're at the 4-minute mark. That's a dick move, and
nice.
Had somebody accepted, I would have used commissioner powers to veto that.
And if anyone would have accepted, it may have been me.
I texted immediately, and I couldn't remember who had him. And Matt has him in Dynasty, and he's just crushed. But
that sucks.
It does. It's tough. it was gruesome, and of course, they weren't going to show it. So on Twitter, I refused to call it X. It's just Twitter. Shout out, you know.
Shout
it
out
was
Jack
gruesome.
Ford.
So yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever his name was.
Jerome Ford.
No, Jack Ford. Wasn't he the guy that started Twitter? I just meant
I don't
until
know.
Elon
You
bought
saw
it. And
you're if you're my age, 44, you saw that injury and you immediately thought of like McGahee and Napoleon McCallum in the early to mid 90s when he was with the Raiders. It was just gross. And then you start thinking about other sports, Paul George and other things were just gruesome injuries. But
I've
grab
an
Jerome
interesting one.
grab Jerome Ford for sure. Everybody on this call should have a call. Everybody on the screen here should probably have a waiver claim in for him. I mean, there's somebody on your bench you could drop, I'm sure. And everybody in America that plays fantasy football has a claim in for Jerome Ford.
Yeah. One other gruesome injury, and I only want to bring this up because I heard this earlier today on the Dan Patrick show. But remember Kevin Ware from Louisville?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That
was
happened in
sad.
the national championship game
Yep.
against Michigan, where Michigan
That
got
was
robbed.
10 years ago.
Yeah,
Stuff's getting
was.
old.
Yep.
Yeah. Moving on from the injury portion of this broadcast.
Right. A lot of other good pickups. I'd say Sam Laporta, tight end for the Lions, is a good one. He was good for 5th last week among tight ends and wide receivers in 3.7 yards after catch, more than expected. So that's like amazing. And he's the first tight end to have caught 5 passes in his first 2 career games.
Do you guys want to
Pretty
talk
good.
about the Lions, or should we just move on?
We can just go a couple more waiver deals and see what you guys think. But if you're needing tight end help, he's somebody that's good. He's, let's see, 4 out of the top tight ends available in like ESPN and Yahoo is Laporta, Kmet, Ertz, and Musgrave. They're viable. They're all viable. Pick one. I like Laporta best. And then I know Matt and I were talking yesterday about Tank Dell. He had a nice spot. Noah Brown landed on the injured reserve. He had 7 for 72 and a touch, and played in a lot different formations other than 11 personnel. He was taking a lot of 12. How did he do that? 12 for 21 snaps and 12 personnel. So he's out there more than you would expect. Nico Collins had a great game too. There's in a different world, I see where Tank Dell overtakes Nico Collins as the top receiver there going forward. Just not right this second, but I could see it happening.
It's possible. I think if anything, Tank Dell is more a threat to the touches that would go to somebody like John Mechie because they're a similar type player, where Nico Collins is that down the field threat. And he also helped win me a pretty good amount of money on Sunday.
Nice.
Which we'll talk about Thursday.
Right.
Yeah.
Had me some. I have Nico Collins in a league, and I started him this week. I'm thankful I did. Justice Hill's kind of another borderline running back you could use. You'll probably see more snaps there than the Bus or Gus Edwards, based on usage. He outsnapped Gus 43-32 this past week. I don't know. Melvin Gordon's still hanging around there, I think, right? But he wasn't involved. So if he gets up to speed, it's better right now as a 2-man backfield if you need a running back because you're Chubless.
You can fix that with medication, by the way.
Right. Justice Hill's a good one too. Zach Moss, another good one. Do you know he played all but 1 snap Sunday?
Yeah. I did not know that.
All but 1. He's only rostered in just under 30% of leagues in ESPN and Yahoo. So
Kyron Williams.
Yep. Kyron Williams is another good one. Yep. He played all but 4 snaps. 76 snaps he played.
Lat Murray got some goal line carries if you're absolutely desperate. Tony Jones Jr. in New Orleans, depending on how long Jamalfo's going to be out. And that might actually give Taysom Hill a little bit more upside too. They're certainly not afraid to have him run the ball. And just given how Alexander Madison has performed. Tyson Chandler could be a sneaky
Yeah.
pickup at
Tajay
Dash and
Spears
Hope
too.
kind of guy.
Used to play
Tajay
in the
Spears
NBA.
too. He did.
Yeah, Tyson Chandler. Yeah.
Oh.
It's a nice resurrection in the NFL.
All right.
Sorry, that was a bad joke.
Yeah, that was bad.
I apologize to our listeners and our viewers.
Tajay Spears is another one, kind of like in the line with Tyson Chandler. He's behind Derrick Henry, but he's had more carries of 10 plus yards than Henry, despite less carries. So he's an efficient runner. If he starts seeing more targets, I think he's going to further cut into Henry's carries, and smartly so for the Tennessee, because you want to win, but God, can you afford to run that guy in the ground again? Can he even do it? So even if you're not thinking about Tajay Spears for this week, put a claim in him for something in 2 weeks. Look ahead, plan ahead. Don't just always think about this week. It is the goal. Yes, everything matters about week to week. This is just a new game every week, basically. But don't be afraid to look ahead.
Speaking of looking ahead, I think Detroit is happy to look ahead to taking on the Falcons next week, just kind of given how this past week went. Goff threw his first interception since November 6th of 2022, and of course it had to be a pick six. Other than that, he played really well, up over 300 yards, few touchdowns. Big thing, another injury, Monty getting hurt. First, it was a few weeks, then it was day to day. Everything I've seen says it's thigh bruise, so it's more of a wait for the swelling to go down and pain management kind of thing. If he's going to miss time, Craig Reynolds is a viable pickup. If you're absolutely desperate, he's going to get some touches. On the Seattle side of the ball, Geno looked pretty solid, over 300 yards, couple touchdowns, pitched in 20 on the ground. Tyler Lockett with a couple touchdowns. He led the team in grabs with 8 as well. So it was a fantasy bonanza.
It was.
Yeah, the offensive ball security for the Lions was just atrocious. You mentioned Goff through the pick, and ARSB and Monty both had fumbles, were stripped. They both were stripped. They just, God, they got to hang on to that ball. We can't have that again next week. You can't have that. You can't have that in your fantasy shit either. It's no good. Negative points is not the way you want to go.
Nope.
So let's see. He threw a pick last on your birthday.
Yep.
Oh,
That's
shit.
correct. November
Oh,
6th,
shit.
2022.
The rush defense for the Lions, doesn't look bad, even though they did allow 2 rushing touchdowns to Kenneth Walker. It's definitely the strength of that team, the Lions. That's the 3rd season in a row that we have lost to Seattle, twice at home.
Yeah. And the pass rush just couldn't get home. They got pressure, but couldn't get a sack.
I could not. James Houston also was on the IR, ankle fracture. So he's 6 to 8 weeks at minimum.
CJ Garner Johnson is on the IR as well, right?
Yeah.
Torn pec.
Torn pec is 3 to 4. I think 3 months is the quickest, but
yeah.
So maybe they get him back for the playoffs.
Yeah.
If they're lucky. And then
Yeah.
what kind of shape will he be in?
Yeah.
So,
well, and we first need to, make the playoffs.
There was a lot of damn injuries this week.
Right.
Ramey, AR went out.
Yeah. It was really fun to watch him for that first quarter and a half or so. And it sucks. I joked with you guys that he's going to have to learn jujitsu so he learns how to fall correctly, because it was an unnecessary hit that he took. So that's part of it too. He's going to have to learn how to avoid those hits. But the way he fell and then smacked his head against the turf, he came in and played for a couple series after that, actually, but then he just let the coaches know that he wasn't feeling right, which is what you should do. I mean,
Absolutely.
100%, you got to look out for your long-term health, and especially as young as he is. But he is electric. And granted, the Houston defense is not very good right now. I anticipate them to get better over the next couple of years with D'Amico Ryans and the players that they're bringing in. But the Colts went down to Houston, did what they needed to do, and got a victory. And Gardner Minshew came in. Part of the reason they brought him in is his relationship with Shane Steichen, but also the fact that he's a very high-end backup quarterback, because they know that the way Richardson plays, it's very likely he's going to be out occasionally, hopefully less than what he has been in the first couple of games. But I was really impressed with how they played. I thought they were going to blow it towards the end of the game with how the defense kind of started playing that prevent defense, and Houston came down, scored a touchdown, but they went down, they took care of business. I don't think they're going to win a ton of games this year, but that was one that they needed to win, and they went down there and won it. And I'm as long as he can figure out how to stay healthy, and I sound like everybody else in Indy or nationwide that talks about him, he needs to figure out how to stay healthy. He's a really exciting player, and there were some wrinkles in the offense this week that I didn't see in the first week that really encourages me. There was the first touchdown where he faked to the right, then he faked to the left, and then he took off up the middle. I think how smart he is and how athletic he is going to lend itself to, I think it could be a really exciting offense in the next couple of years, but it all hinges on his ability to stay healthy.
And his ability to progress and grow as a passer.
Absolutely.
Look what the Bears are dealing with right now with Justin Fields. The man can run, but as far as throwing the ball, not so much. I remember talking with Kyle earlier in the week, and I mentioned that Colts-Texans game could be a sneaky little shootout, because you've got a couple teams with offenses that could be, okay, good on any given Sunday, and defenses that are just bad. And that's a recipe for points on the board.
Yeah,
absolutely.
CJ Stroud had a nice game, even though he lost.
Yeah.
He threw for 384 yards, 2 touchdowns. He targeted 10 fucking receivers.
Yeah.
He's a sneaky little pickup, because that team is going to have a lot of garbage time this year.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I agree.
And
that was awesome.
I don't want to shit on Bears fans, but
no, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Over the first couple of weeks, seeing how Justin Fields plays, would you rather be a Bears fan with Justin Fields, or would you rather be a Colts fan with Anthony Richardson? Granted, the injuries are a little bit scary, but the outlook on the two quarterbacks, you hope Justin Fields figures out how to play within the pocket, but it seems like they've taken the run away from him completely. And
they've called 4 designed runs for him through 2 games.
Yeah. As a Colts fan, I am very encouraged with how Anthony Richardson has come out of the first couple of games.
Yeah, his strength right now is still on the ground as he figures out how to pass the ball effectively at the NFL level.
100%.
Fields just, oh my God. That first drive, they went down, scored a touchdown. I think he scored it.
He should have retired.
Yeah. But after that, it was horrible. He was holding on to the ball way too long and had major trouble trying to throw downfield. Guess what comes up next? You get the Chiefs. I mean, on the road, it's not going to get any easier. The Bears have now lost 12 games in a row from last season. They gave up 25 plus every fucking time. They're just
that's a defense I'm targeting in fantasy. Daily fantasy.
Oh, yeah, sure. It's bad.
It's like they told Fields, whatever you do not take off. Do not run. Try to find and it's like in his head now that he's so focused on developing as a passer that he's forgotten what he is naturally good at.
Got him there.
Yeah, absolutely. And understanding, we've talked about it in previous podcasts, where he needs to become more of a pocket passer, but you still got to rely on what got you there. To your point, Kyle, they got to win games, or else. I mean, this is a very intriguing year for them, because if it doesn't work out, they're going to have 2 very high draft picks, and it is a quarterback heavy draft next year. So
Sure is.
do they boot on Justin Fields and look at a guy like a Shadur Sanders or something like that, who has really worked his way up because of his play in the first couple of games in college? And granted, it's only a couple of games, but Caleb Williams, Sam Howell, like
Drake May.
nope, yep,
Oh.
they're the same person. I'm convinced.
Yeah. Okay. That'll work.
Sam Howell, not Sam.
Yeah,
Howell.
if you Justin Fields, he was typically the 5th or 6th quarterback off the board. Right now, he's the QB 16 in fantasy, behind Sam Howell, behind Mac Jones.
Nice.
He's ahead of Lamar. He's ahead of Trevor Lawrence, and he's ahead of Joe Burrow, who right now is the worst starting quarterback in NFL fantasy right now. He's number 32 overall. My question is, for the rest of the season, Justin Fields, you buying, you selling, or are you holding?
I think if I have him, I'm holding.
Yeah.
I'm not buying
I
him
don't
though. It's not a buy low. I think there's other options out there. And can you put the logo up, please? Yeah. So pay no attention to what I say.
This
here.
one?
Yeah, there. Perfect. There. Oh gosh, you've made a few of them. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a lot of
Oh,
time
yeah,
today.
Yeah. Pay no attention to what I say. If I have him, I'm not getting rid of him for. I'm not letting somebody trade Nick Chubb to me for him, for lack of a better example. But I think I'm going to hold on to him. You hope that he gets a little bit better as the season goes on. But I'm certainly not looking to pick him up if I don't have him.
Yeah, if you sell right now, you're probably hoping to get 80 cents on the dollar of what you paid for him. But those other 3 quarterbacks I brought up, Lamar Jackson, Trevor Lawrence, and Joe Burrow, if you had to buy one of them, who would you buy?
What's the
Probably
Lamar, Burrow, and who?
Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence.
My starting fantasy quarterback. Can we? No, can't put it up.
I'm the one that called Burrow
there we
the
go.
MVP.
There we go. Hey, we all said they were going to win the Super Bowl, and they're sitting there at 0-2. So what do we know?
Hey, I said Justin Fields was going to be the NFC North Offensive Player of the Year.
Inaugural.
Inaugural. Yes, that was just my little award. Again, don't pay attention to anything I say either. We have a viewer. Awesome. Hi, viewer. Join in.
What's happening?
Got any comments? How do you feel about
this week too?
Games?
There were 16 quarterbacks that scored 20 or more points this week, which was 6 more than last year.
Nice. It's an interesting stat.
Well, you know me, the hard hitting stuff.
You mentioned Sam Howell. Man, he looked good. He almost hit 300 yards. I think it's 290 something.
Yeah. QB 12 on the year.
Yeah, it was 299, 2 touchdowns.
They're 2-0.
You know that word? I don't ever like this word, but it's moxie. He's kind of got that moxie. No?
Yeah, no, I like it because that's like the general term for like a mediocre quarterback that is somewhat intelligent. Like, he's got moxie. He hangs in there. Stick-to-itiveness.
He does, but he's capable of making some big ass throws. So,
yeah. And he can make plays with his legs too. He's an athletic dude.
Sure.
He can move within the pocket. They can get him outside the pocket. Brian Robinson Jr. is doing a hell of a job supporting his quarterback. He's the RB2 on the season. Had a couple touchdowns this past week. I don't think anyone saw this start coming from him. I know a lot of people were kind of what's going on, Drew's dumpster fire?
Yeah, what's up, man? Yeah, I think
Um,
he's leading the league right now, I believe, right? 2-0. He's at first.
I played him last week, so
Oh yeah, so yeah, he's definitely 2-0.
yeah, definitely. At least he's at least 1-1, so
right, right. Heck yeah.
crushed me.
we need to
But
get those
yeah,
standings up on screen too.
all right, handle it.
I'm in last.
But no, Drew, yeah, he's in first, I believe. Yeah, throw him up.
So I know this doesn't mean anything, but in my other two fantasy leagues, I'm 2-0.
Well, good for you, Ramey.
Thanks. And those are actually ones I'm playing money for. So
Here we go.
There we go.
Drew's dumpster fire up on top.
Nice.
For prep, I exclusively listen to the Stone Down Sports podcast, and hopefully you ignored Ramey. Lock it down. Don't know who that is. Stinky Nuts, aka Idaho Moose Knuckles, who just defeated me, took the damn week of his life. You know, and here I am in fifth. Where's there's Kyle. And way down here, and almost last, but not quite, is Ramrod.
That is correct.
We have our shrewd trader here in 12th, Fanatics.
Yeah. Hey.
Yes. Yep.
They can't say no if you don't ask. It's like my method at a bar at about 2 a.m.
That's it.
Yep.
Awesome. Dude, it's good stuff. You exclusively listened. He forget all the regular
That's all he
heads.
listened to.
Forget all the regular talking heads. I listen to these fools from the Midwest who just love talking about fantasy football and football in general. I mean, or all sports for that matter. But, well, I won't say all. I'm not talking about, lacrosse. I don't know anything about it.
That's true.
Yeah.
One of the big disappointments this weekend, I think, was the Chiefs and Jaguars game. We were expecting a point fest and got nothing of the sort. Isaiah Pacheco had a decent game, 12 carries for 70 yards. Sky Moore finally showed up. He had 70 yards, a touchdown. Did that on 4 targets and 3 grabs. Mahomes spread the ball around quite a bit. Kelsey did get 9 targets, but only managed to haul in 4 for 26 and a touchdown. But I know a lot of people were looking forward to having him back. On the Jacksonville side, Trevor Lawrence didn't really do much. Etienne didn't do much. Christian Kirk reemerged as a thing, apparently.
Awesome.
11 grabs for 110 yards. But it wasn't what we hoped it would be.
Yeah, and I don't know why. It was almost like the game happened too early in the season for the teams to kind of develop and become what they're going to be towards the end of the season. You feel like if this was a game in mid-October, it would have been like a 30. Hell, I took it as my lock or the over. I thought it was going to be a 34-31 type of game last week, but you feel like they're going to see each other again in the playoffs if the matchups come right. But Kansas City won this game, and as we talked last week, it probably means this game's going to be in Kansas City if there is a rematch. And while none of us chose the Chiefs to repeat, if this is like a divisional round game or even AFC Championship game, that home field advantage is huge. And if you're the Jaguars, you're hoping that at the end of the season, you're not looking back and saying, why the hell couldn't we score 21 points?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was 120 degrees on the field, too. It was a pretty warm day down there.
It was. How about the other Florida team? Surprisingly, 2-0. Bucks. Baker Mayfield hasn't looked too bad.
Early MVP candidate.
I wasn't sure which other Florida team you were talking about, too, for a second, because there's 3.
Miami?
Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah. Shit. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Baker did not. If we want to talk about the Bucks,
what did he say? Hold on. He said, "Thanks, don't worry, I'll self-destruct and cough up the lead."
Yes.
Hey, anything can happen. You start out 2-0, and you could just tank, or you could, go 1-3 the first month and run the table like
Yeah.
some people have done in the past.
I'm just sandbagging you guys. So
Yeah, I'm sure. Getting your team right, strategizing,
uh-huh.
picking
Yeah.
out your wins.
Looking to make some shrewd trades.
Right. What was the over again on the Chiefs and Jay?
It was
51, I think.
yeah, 51. And I mean, I'm not gonna bullshit. I thought it was gonna blow that away. I think I said it was gonna be like a 31-28 kind of game. And none of you argued that hardly with me. So
It
I was
It was a
shocked.
reasonable take.
Sure
I,
was.
sh- I was shocked. I mean, not shocked because of how my gambling season has gone, but to see that it was a 6-3 game early in the third quarter, not great.
No.
So
But the Bucks have looked good. Baker Mayfield's looked good. So, decent. He's got a connection with Mike Evans, man. They can hit some deep balls. And the defense just keeps getting takeaways and sacks. So you can win a lot of games.
Mike
especially
Evans is a
against
wide
Bears.
receiver 2 on the year, averaging
Yeah.
17.9 points a game, according to Fantasy Pros.
Excellent.
you just hope Mike
Um,
Evans' dad doesn't start posting videos online of routes that Baker's missed and everything falls apart. We should be good.
they're going to be
Wonder if the
tested.
Browns wish they had him back.
Yeah, no. But they're going to be tested the next couple of weeks. They got Eagles on Monday Night Football and then division game with the Saints in Week 4. So those are two good defenses from last season that are so far looking good this season.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we should talk about the Bengals and Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and just the draft stock you used to get Joe Burrow. He was a 4th round pick. Jamar Chase was, a top, we'll call it 3 at worst pick. Joe Burrow's the number 32 quarterback. Jamar Chase, the number 74 wide receiver. Joe Mixon hasn't really done much. T. Higgins had a nice bounce back game last week, over 80 yards, couple touchdowns. But still, that's not what people were looking for when they invested in that team. On the flip side, Baltimore, Lamar Jackson, he's still kind of struggling throwing to the outside. He is completing the passes, but they're closer to the line of scrimmage. Against Cincinnati, they did a better job throwing the ball down the field. Right now, Lamar Jackson, he's got his career best completion percentage, but he's also got a career worst ADOT. So, and he's still looking to Mandrews. He's still looking to the middle of the field. Now, OBJ is out with an ankle injury. The backfield is still being sorted out. So that's a team a little bit in disarray. They're going to put together a plan, I'm sure, here over the next few weeks. And that backfield will start to be a little bit clearer as far as division of labor. But just a lot of disappointment all around for both of those teams, irrespective of record.
Yeah.
There are just more teams opening up with Jonathan Taylor options. Colts are loving it. Colts actually go to Baltimore this week, and I would love to drop it and say it'll be interesting to see what happens, but I think I think I know what's going to happen. But I don't know. I feel like the Burrow never and he's re-aggravated that calf injury. I don't know if he ever completely got over it. Maybe they would have been better off sitting. I mean, they're 0-2. They would have been better off sitting him for a couple of games and letting that get healthy. But seeing what Aaron Rodgers went through with his calf injuries and then the Achilles, it's really scary to think that Joe Burrow could potentially have that kind of injury because of his calf problems. And you're 0-2 now, so if you can put him out there at all, you're going to have to put him out there to try to get back into the division race. You just hope that they don't, and I don't think they would purposely, but you hope they don't put him back out there and have him do something that would just completely derail their season.
Yeah, I mean, they're essentially 3 games back of Baltimore now. Baltimore's
Mhm.
2-0, they're
Yep.
0-2, and Baltimore's got the game in hand. So they're going to be pushing the boulder uphill the rest of the season.
They sure are, and that's not like they got the schedule coming up. They got the Rams on Monday night, but there's 2 Monday night games again. Did you guys know that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Week? All
What do
right.
you guys think
Uh,
about that? Just
I don't
sidebar.
I don't
don't
hate
hate
it.
it.
I wish they weren't concurrent like that.
Yeah,
I
You know, give
agree.
me a 7 o'clock game and a 10 o'clock game.
Yep.
right. Yeah,
Completely
it
agree.
sucks. I mean, if you're on the East Coast, it sucks. You might not be making it till 1 a.m. Some
Yeah.
viewers.
Melting snowman wonders if the division is too good for Cincinnati to make a comeback again this year. I think all the teams are improved, although Cleveland didn't look too great last night. I mean, I'm going to stick with my preseason prediction of them making the Super Bowl. I don't know if they're going to be able to come back and take the division, but when all is said and done, I think they'll still be a playoff team.
But the talent is there.
It is. They need to shore up the defense a bit.
Yep, agreed. But they got some tough. Yeah, they got Tennessee, Arizona, they got Seattle, then at San Francisco, then Buffalo. 2 weeks later, Baltimore and Pittsburgh back to back. Like they got some good, some winnable games there, but a lot of tough matchups too. They better fucking figure it out fast, and hopefully he can, heal.
They got
play.
they got that first place schedule too, so it's going to be tough. But to Melting Snowman's point, they've started slow the past couple of years, so you hope Burrow can kind of get out of this funk and get healthy. And I mean, Chase is Chase, and Higgins is there, and you got Boyd, so there should be no reason. You know what? I wasn't talking about fantasy. I was agreeing with you guys. What
Yeah,
the
I know.
fuck?
I just thought it'd be a good time to throw it up. But
Thanks,
it's,
Kyle.
uh,
No, go ahead.
yeah. See, there's some poop coming on the screen
Poop,
there.
poop emoji. Great.
Poo.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. They better figure it out this week. And the Rams have looked good, so it's not. I don't know. Do you know who the backup quarterback is in Cincinnati? It's
That
Jake
one
Browning.
guy.
Is it AJ
Jake
McCarron?
Browning.
Oh no, he's in the
not
XFL.
He's
The
not
USFL. Or
Yeah, it's Jake Browning. So, that's not going to work.
yikes.
I'm having some technical difficulties.
Yeah, I can tell. Another team that definitely did not think they would be 0-2 are the Los Angeles Chargers. The offense has looked fantastic. The defense is just a damn sieve. They can't stop anybody at anything. With all the money they spent on that pass rush, the talent is there. Staley is supposed to be a defensive coach. Like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But
It's
Keenan Allen's putting
brutal.
up numbers. He's the wide receiver 3 on the season. He was wide receiver 2 this past week. He had a couple touchdowns, went over 100 yards. Still looking for Mike Williams to kind of get warmed up and going. They've really not done a whole lot with their new rookie receiver. Austin Eckler's out. I was fortunate enough to get Joshua Kelly in a league and left his ass on the bench because that Titans run defense is legit, but their pass defense is absolutely garbage. They still managed to lose in overtime. Derrick Henry, 25 for 80 with a touch, not his most efficient effort, but I think given the state of that team and just how DeAndre Hopkins is not, I guess, not the factor that maybe they had hoped for, I think you're going to see a very inefficient season from both Hopkins and from Derrick Henry.
How much of that Hopkins not being what they thought he was going to be is Tannehill?
I don't think Tannehill is awful. I think DeAndre Hopkins has just lost a step and a half, and he's a guy who's going to be in that short to intermediate range. With him, if you've got him in fantasy, you're hoping by by death by 1,000 cuts, because he's going to give you 7 for 60. He's going to give you 5 for 40, and you hope he gets some love in the red zone.
Yeah, but don't you feel like if he was on the Chiefs, he'd be DeAndre Hopkins?
No,
You
I
don't?
think
I don't-
he's I think he's clearly lost a step.
No,
And I think
I'm
even if he
sorry.
was
Not-
on the Chiefs, he would still be utilized in that short to intermediate zone.
Yeah, he's
I
not.
think he'd be doing a bit better with Patrick Mahomes throwing to him, but I don't think the crux of the issue in his performance is Tannehill.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, he's not because in his early career in his prime, he was a deep threat too. He could do it all, and he doesn't have that, and everybody knows it. Short and intermediate's where he's at, and he's still got that experience, and he's smart enough and knows what route to run based on what he's reading as he's running that route. And he's able to break off a route. I mean, he is smart, and that's going to make up for that loss of speed and father time, and that's just how it goes.
Yeah. He's still got great hands too.
He does.
We have a second watcher. Welcome, whoever else has joined.
Nice.
Feel free to
Yes.
hop in the comments. We'd love to chat with you.
So who do you think? Is it too early to talk about who you think is going to coach the Chargers next year?
Yeah, he needs to go. I think he should have been
It's
fired
not going to
2
be
seasons-
Brandon Staley.
2 seasons ago. He should have been
Yeah.
fired.
Do
Yeah.
you think? Do you think Sean Payton wishes he would have stayed in TV for another year so he could be arrogant in Los Angeles with the Chargers instead of arrogant in Denver with the Broncos?
And Russ?
It's possible.
Yeah.
Hey, that's QB5, Russell Wilson. You put some respect on his name.
Did you see what they? Did you see what he said
QB5.
about him?
3 listeners.
Oh, they're gonna have to
3
go to
listeners.
using the
Hell
wristband?
yeah.
Yeah, he said if Russ can't understand the plays or remember the plays or whatever, we'll go to the wristbands.
Well, I mean, you do what you got to do in the situation that you're in. I mean, you're taking Russell Wilson, who he was at his best when he was moving around and getting outside the pocket, and Sean Payton is going to have him as a classic drop back passer. That's not his game. There's going to be growing pains. You're trying to teach an old dog new tricks while he goes on TV and tells you why he's better than you.
Yeah,
And does high knees on the plane.
yeah. And eats his Russ switch or whatever they had
His
for him.
concussion water or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah, yeah. I just feel like Sean Payton should be saying this stuff a year from now when they can cut his ass after the season. Russell Wilson, they're locked into him for another 2 years. So I don't understand why the stuff that he's saying in public he isn't saying. Maybe he is saying it behind closed doors, and Russ is just completely just ignoring it. So that's why he's going in public and saying it. But I don't understand the. I don't know how it benefits you by bringing that stuff out in public. Like the stuff he said about Hackett. Like there's stuff that Sean Payton, I don't know if he thinks he's the smartest guy in the room, but they're not a great team, and they're not going to be a great team for a while. So I don't know why you don't say a lot of that stuff behind closed doors.
Yeah, we had Melting Snowman ask how good is Justin Herbert. I think he has the talent and the talent on that team. He's got QB 1 or 2 upside overall. In that offense, they're pushing the ball down the field more. As long as Keenan Allen and Mike Williams stay healthy, the sky's the limit.
I'm told he's good. Has in fantasy 1 year, did okay, but is he the problem? Shout out to you. No, I don't think he's the problem. Let's see. He had Anthony Lynn, which he was in Detroit and got dismissed very fucking quickly. He's not a good offensive coordinator. I think Kellen Moore is the guy to have help or leading that offense with him. It's just I think it's going to take a little time, and I think the Staley factor. Like a part of me wants to say fire Staley, promote Kellen Moore to the interim for the rest of the way, and then watch out what happens.
I don't know about that.
I think that's a little extreme. I don't think Kellen Moore is ready to be even an interim head coach. I think he needs to stay in his lane and focus on the offense. But I also think that they need to do something about Brandon Staley. they need to take more responsibility away from him, or they need to get him more help. I know he struggled in the past with, stuff like clock management, but they got to do something because it's not working. It's a damn crime that team with that talent has that record and they continue to underachieve.
Chargers doing Charger things.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
They need to figure out how to get Sean McVay to come just move across the building and could be the Chargers.
Speaking of Sean McVay, the games that he's called the past couple of weeks, those couple games feel like the best games he's called in a couple of years.
With less talent. Well, overall, he's had better players
Right.
there and stuff. Odell and all this, and Cup's not, healthy. But yeah, I agree. For sure. Puka Nacua. The guy had 20 targets last week.
That's just ridiculous. And obviously his target share is going to drop once Cooper Kupp comes back. But I saw something earlier. Has something like the 7th best odds to lead the league in receiving.
Wow.
Which,
Wow.
I mean, there's worse long shots you could take, I guess. He does
Sure.
need to work. He needs some work. He does lead the league in drops as well. He's got 4. But what he's doing as a rookie and just the position that the team has put him in shows a shit ton of trust from Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford.
It's his first player in NFL history with 10 plus receptions and 100 plus yards in their first 2 career games. It's pretty good. Interesting fact. Puka Nacua translates to Cooper Kupp in Hawaiian. So
nice. Where's he from?
You mean in English it translates to Cooper Kupp.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I fucked that up. It was going to be funny, but I fucked it up. So it doesn't
Yeah.
matter, folks.
Please excuse me. I'm bad at English. Can we
Right.
get one of those for you?
I
Yeah.
suck at all this. This is me
Yeah.
sucking. Yep.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
The Packers Falcons game was quite the rock fight.
Oh, jeez. Do we even want to talk about it?
I mean, Jordan Love is the QB2 on the season. Right
Three
now,
touchdowns
which
again.
I don't think
he's got 6
anyone saw
touchdowns.
that coming.
As long as he's throwing the ball and not falling forward.
I mean,
Yep.
FTP,
Looked
of
good.
course, but still, like, now I don't
If
think he's
he-
their next Hall of Famer or something like that. But what he's not doing is going out there and fucking it up.
Yeah, no. And they did it without Aaron Jones. They did it without Bakhtiari at left tackle. They did it without Christian Watson. Like, they're I hate to say it, but yeah, they're looking good. Their defense is not horrible. Their run defense is better than last year so far.
And you've got Arthur Smith doing everything he can to set the NFL back to the 1950s. But you've got Tyler Algier, you've got Bijan Robinson, who has been fantastic and as advertised here through the first couple of games. We can harp on them not using Drake London. We can harp on them not using Kyle Pitts, but Kyle Pitts is also, let me get to my note here. He's one of only 9 tight ends who have a 17% or more target share in their offense. They
He
just
gets a
don't
lot.
have the volume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had 5 targets this weekend. And like I'll jump on what Ramey said a moment ago. What kind of player would Kyle Pitts be if he was on the Kansas City Chiefs?
Oh. He'd
Or
be
Dude.
Travis Kelce.
He was in Detroit.
Yeah, I was saying, right. Or Detroit. Oh my God. With the
We're on
top,
the Chargers.
it's a shame that that's how it's going there in Atlanta. And hey, what do I know? They're
2-0
2-0.
though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I know we talked about this earlier in the year. Why did they draft him? Like, if they did not want to use him for catching passes, why did they waste that pick when they could have drafted a lineman? Or I can't go back and see exactly who was in that draft, but it seems like they, with as focused as they are on the run, they could have used that pick much more effectively, either on a defensive player or somebody that would help the running game, because it just seems like that he's in that offense for no reason at all. And he's an okay blocker, but his real skill is catching the ball. So it just still befuddles me that he was drafted by them a couple years ago.
I was just trying to pull up the first like 10 picks. He was like 4th overall or something.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence. Oh, Jesus. Come on. Zach Wilson. Trey Lance.
Well, shoot.
Uh,
Imagine him in the
Pitts.
Jets offense.
So Jamar Chase was number 5. No, you know what? It's just, hold on. This is not right.
You having problems there, Private Pile?
Oh. Just give me a list. Okay, yeah. Lawrence Wilson, Lance, Pitts, Chase, Waddle, Penei Sewell, J.C. Horn, who when healthy can be very good.
I would. Can you imagine the Falcons with
Chase?
Penei Sewell instead of
Yeah.
instead of Pitts? Like, I mean, not that they're struggling on the run anyway, but
This is
but
true.
Jesus, like it would have been a much more effective pick. And I know hindsight's 2020, so
It is. And Arthur Smith doesn't give two shits about our fantasy teams.
that's true. Especially mine.
Nobody cares about your fantasy
That's
team.
true. That is accurate.
Yeah.
You guys
0-2.
want to wrap her up?
0-2. Yeah, we're gonna have we'll be back on in 47 hours or so. For
Quick
the
math.
week. Yeah, right. Week 3 preview. We'll each be doing some aces and deuces. Those are our starts and sits. And then of course our betting lock of the week or locks of the week. We'll go over kind of how we did on week 2's action on Thursday as well. Nice to have a couple few listeners today and some activity in the chat. That's relatively new for us. I will just say it is new for us. And hopefully you got something out of today's little chat. Hit us up on the socials as well at any time with any questions, man, about fantasy, start, sit, holds, buys, sells, all of it. Or if you just
Life.
life. If you just want to tell us, to tell Ramey to fuck off, that's fine. You can do that.
Please
too.
do.
We'll be okay.
You wouldn't be
with
the
that.
first and you won't be the last.
Right. Exactly.
Why don't you fuck on?
Right. Melting Snowman. Guys, great work. Awesome production. Good conversation. Appreciate the show. We appreciate you. Thanks for jumping on here and getting active. Good luck again in the
Week
lead.
3.
You're leading there in first at 2-0. It's early though, so a lot of things can happen, but good luck so far. Awesome job so far.
Yeah, and for those of you who missed the live stream, I do take it and clean up the audio a little bit and put it there in the playlist and podcast form. So, but we love having people here. We love having people listen, however you choose to do so. Both the people over on Spotify, we appreciate you. Until next time, gentlemen.
Looking forward to it.
It's been a lot of fun.
We'll see you guys Thursday. We'll have it wrapped up before the game kicks off Thursday, so you ain't gonna miss nothing. But have a good night, folks. We'll see you later.
See ya. You got to wave, Kyle. Damn it.
It's out there.
All right.